Hello and welcome to today's practice. So today we are going to play with and explore Garudasana, also known as Eagle Pose. So if you enjoy flowing with me, give this video a like and be sure to subscribe to my channel. That way you'll be the first one to know when I upload a new video. So for today, you might want to make use of a block if you find that sometimes the floor is far away. And even if you don't, you just never know. Your body's different every day. So it's just good to have them on the side if you need them. And we'll get started in a wide-legged child's pose. So coming to the center of your mat, big toes together to touch, send your knees out a little bit wide, send your hips back towards your heels, and then just let your arms reach forward as you just gently fold into the pose. And if it feels good, you can stack your fists underneath your forehead if the ground is far away, or use a block. Otherwise, just let your head come down to the ground. And then take a nice, deep, full cleansing breath here. So inhale into the belly, the diaphragm, and the chest. Feel your shoulder blades spread wide as your lungs fill with air. And then exhale, let everything go. Maybe open your mouth inside out and just soften into the pose. And use this as an opportunity to kind of just get your mind and your body in alignment. And think of a gratitude. It can be anything at all, big, small, an idea, a thought, a person, a thing. Just something that makes you happy. And attach that thought to your breath. And start to elongate your breath and start to control your breath. And coming into your Ujjayi breath, your victorious breath, by having that slight constriction at the back of the throat. Just find your pace of breath and see if you can stay with it throughout the practice. And you might lose it, and you probably will, and it's fine. It doesn't mean anything. It's just par for the course. But we can always come back to the breath and come back to the gratitude. So take one more breath here as you get settled in, preparing for your practice today. And if your eyes are closed, just gently blink them back open. If your gaze is softened, just refocus your gaze. And then shift yourself forward and come to a neutral tabletop. So stack your hips over your knees and stack your shoulders over your wrists and spread your fingers really wide. And your hands are about shoulders distance apart and your knees are about hips distance apart. Draw your belly in. So try not to sag your gut. Draw the belly in. Push the ground away. So use the triceps to straighten your arms. Wrap your arms in towards your body. And rotate the upper arm so the eye of the elbow is facing the short edge of your mat. Keep your spine nice and long. So notice if your neck starts to droop down, send your gaze forward and ahead of you. Remembering that your neck is an extension of your spine. So reaching out from the tailbone back behind you and the crown of your head out in front of you. Drawing the belly in, create a nice flat back and try not to dump into your shoulders. That's why we push the ground away. And take a breath. Just feel this pose. Good. Coming into a couple rounds of cat and cow. So as you inhale, lower your chest down to the ground, shine your chest forward. Lower your belly to the ground, chest goes forward. Exhale, round your upper back, tuck your tailbone down towards the ground, release the crown of your head towards the floor, and then flow through with the pace of your breath. So inhaling, coming into your cow, and as you exhale, go into your cat. And coming with the breath, seeing if you can match your start of the movement with the start of your breath and the end of your movement with the end of your breath. So get connected by what you're doing, the mind and the body together. Gonna do one more round. Inhaling, coming forward. Exhaling, rounding it out. And then come back to your neutral tabletop. Reset. So really push the ground away again. Shoulder blades are drawing down your back. Belly's drawn in, nice long spine. Good. On your next exhale, just send your left shoulder towards your left hip. And just a little side bend here. And inhale, come back through center and send your right shoulder towards your right hip. Good, so it's kind of like a sideways cat-cow, and just flow back and forth here with the pace of your breath. And just feeling out, stretching the side body, finding space this way. Paying attention to your spine. And then make your way back to your neutral tabletop. Pause there. Take a moment to check in with your spine and just notice if you feel anything different from when you started versus now. Now we're going to combine those two together and make circles. So coming into your cow, and then shifting your left shoulder to the right, your left shoulder to your left hip, and then push the ground away. So you're kind of making a circle with your spine, coming over to the right and back up. Just flowing through, arching your back, and just moving from side to side. Pause wherever you are, go the other direction. And just explore, don't overthink it. Just move your body in any way that it wants to move. Just warming up the spine a little bit, especially if this is early in the morning for you, or you're just getting your body moving in the day. And then make your way back to your neutral tabletop, reset once more, and just draw the belly in. Feel all the feelings starting to warm up. And bring your knees in closer together. Maybe they touch, maybe they don't. Just bring them a little bit closer together. Send your arms out in front of you and send your hips in front of your knees, but still stacking your shoulders over your wrists. Hug your arms in towards your body. Take an inhale here, belly is tucked in, nice and long. As you exhale, lower all the way down to your belly. Good, send your arms out wide and TP your fingers. And then inhale, lift up to a little baby cobra or a wide-armed higher cobra. Exhale, lower back down. Good, inhale, come back up through center. As you exhale, take your right shoulder towards the left corner of your mat. And just dip the shoulder down, then inhale, come back up through center. Exhale, take the left shoulder towards the right corner. Good. Come back up through center and release all the way back down, bringing your hands up under the heads of your shoulders. Hug your elbows in towards your body, and then push yourself up back to that modified plank. Good. And then come back to a tabletop, bringing the knees forward, walking the hands back. Good. As you inhale, send your right leg back behind you. Toes, knees, and hip all pointed down towards the ground. So square your hips to the floor. Draw the belly in. Reach through the back leg like someone has your ankle and they're pulling your leg to create space in your hip. And take your gaze forward and ahead of you slightly. And then on your next exhale, bring your knee towards your nose. So really dome your upper back. Spread your shoulder blades apart. Yeah, then continue to travel your foot forward and across. So taking your right leg across your left leg. Little crisscross situation here. Now you have options. If this feels terribly unstable and you feel like you're going to fall over, you can always take that foot, that leg, a little bit wider. And if you widen your base, it'll give you a little bit more security, okay? But otherwise, if you're able to do so, bringing the knees in together, squeeze your inner thighs together. Good. And then inhale as you open up. Left arm reaches up towards the sky. Exhale, take the twist. So send the left arm underneath the right armpit. An option, you can stay here and just work on this twist and play with the balance, or you can lower the shoulder and the face down towards the ground and have a little twisted leg or crisscross leg, thread the needle. Just take one more breath. Good. And then push your hand into the mat, unwind, coming into your open twist. Exhale, release your hand back down to the mat and pause here in your cross-legged tabletop. Take an inhale as you reset. And as you exhale, bring your knee towards your nose, dome your upper back. Good. Send your leg back behind you. Come back to that three-legged tabletop. And then exhale, release your leg back down to the ground. Reset once more. Take a breath here and just notice the difference between your right and your left side if you feel anything different at all. Then send your left leg back behind you. Toes, knees, hip all pointed down towards the ground. Nice long spine. Try not to dump into your shoulders or your gut. Push the ground away, draw everything in and up. Beautiful. On your next exhale, bring your knee towards your nose. Push the ground away, dome the upper back. Good. Continue to travel that leg forward and across. So left leg crosses in front of the right. Pause here. Get your balance. If you need to adjust, make your adjustments. Take your time. On your next inhale, the right arm reaches up. You twist towards the right. Open twist. Exhale. Feed your arm underneath, coming into your cross leg. Thread the needle. And if you're up for it, lower the shoulder down towards the ground. And take a breath. And place your left hand on the ground. Push into the mat. Open up. Twisting openly towards the right. And then return your top hand back down to the mat. Pause. Reset. Take your inhale. Exhale. Bring your knee towards your nose. Dome the upper back. And then send your leg back behind you. And return your shin back down to the mat and tuck your toes. Send your hips back towards your heels. Spread all 10 toes wide so all 10 toes are in contact with the mat. And if you have short little pinky toes, sometimes you have to convince them to get there. And just push your hips in towards your heels. You can push with your hands to give you a little bit more sensation if you need it. If you want even more, you can lift one knee at a time as you continue to push back. If you want even more, you can lift both knees at the same time, pushing into your heels. Just giving the soles of the feet a little bit of stretch. And then wherever you are, if your knees are lifted, just lower them back down. And then shift forward a bit as you lift the hips up towards the sky and coming into our first Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. So your knees can be as bent as you need them to be. They don't have to be straight. It's still early in the practice, so take your time. And if you like to walk out your feet, go ahead and do that. Just pedaling back and forth, lifting and lowering the heels one at a time or both at the same time. And any other movement that you like to take in your down dog. So if you like to wiggle in your hips or flowing back and forth, whatever makes sense for you and what your body is craving today. It's an opportunity for you to listen and let your body kind of dictate what it needs to you instead of you telling it what it needs. And then when you're ready, find some stillness. So the heels are reaching down towards the mat. They don't need to touch. That's not important. It's just the direction of travel. And your knees can be as bent as you need them to be. Hips lifting up towards the sky. Nice long spine. Release any tension in your neck. Spread your shoulder blades apart. Hug your arms in towards your face and push the ground away. Fingers are spread nice and wide. And on your next inhale, lift your hips up to the sky. And then as you exhale, start to crisscross walk to the top of the mat. So a lot, teeny tiny steps, right over left, left over right. And just make your way up to your forward fold at the top of your mat. Knees again, as bent as you need them to be. If you want to take a ragdoll here, feel free to do that if it feels good. Opposite hands and opposite forearms or whatever. If not, just dangle for a minute. If you're swaying, come back to stillness. Release your hands if you're holding your arms. And then slowly start to roll yourself up to stand. One vertebrae at a time. Last thing to come up is the head. And come to Tadasana at the top of your mat. So palms face forward, shoulders stacked over hips, stacked over knees, stacked over ankles. Ground down through your feet, arches lifted. And your ears are stacked over your shoulders, chin parallel to the floor. Good. We'll flow through. We'll do a round of half salutation first, then we'll get into a full round of sun salutation A. So inhale, arms reaching up to the sky. Find Urdhva Hastasana, extended mountain. As you exhale, hinge forward, Uttanasana, forward fold. And on your inhale, find your halfway lift. So your hands can be on shins, the blocks, the thighs, the floor. Just keep a nice long spine. And then exhale as you fold forward. And then root to rise as you circle sweep your arms back up overhead. Exhale, release your arms. Bring your hands in prayer, heart center, Samastitihi. Good. We'll do a full round of Surah A, Sun Salutation A. Inhale, arms reaching up. Exhale, fold forward. Good. Inhale, halfway lift. Good. Plant your hands, step back to a plank of your choice. So you can be on your toes if you'd like, or you can lower down to your knees, whichever feels good for you. And then taking the vinyasa. So bend your elbows straight back and lower. You can lower halfway to Chaturanga Dandasana or all the way to your belly. Take your back bend on your inhale, either a baby cobra, a high cobra, or an up dog. Good. And then make your way back to your downward facing dog. So you can go through tabletop, you can go through child's pose, or you can push straight up through a plank. Come back to your down dog, reset, push the ground away, spread the shoulder blades apart, hug the arms in, hips lift up, heels reach down. On your next inhale, lift the heels up, take the gaze forward. As you exhale, bend your knees, step, hop, jump, or float to the top of the mat. However you choose to get there is perfect. Forward fold. Root to rise, circle sweep coming all the way up. Urdhva Hastasana, extended mountain. Exhale, release the arms, bring the hands back in prayer. Samastitihi. We'll flow through that one more time. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, fold it forward. Good. Find your halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward, plant the hands, step back to the plank that you like to play with, and then take your vinyasa, halfway or the belly. Cobra, maybe an up dog, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Make your way back to Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Pause here, reset, take a full breath. Inhale. Exhale. As you inhale, the heels lift, the gaze goes forward. Make your way to the top of the mat. On your exhale, come to your forward fold. Good. Root to rise, circle sweep, reaching up. Exhale, release the arms, hands in prayer. Pause for a moment and just come back in, come to your gratitude. If you lost your breath, come back to that as well. And take your mind's eye in your body and just take a scan and notice what you're feeling without judgment. Good, and we'll add on. So inhale, send the arms up overhead, come back to that extended mountain. Exhale, take your forward fold. Good, find your halfway lift. And plant your hands, step back this time to a downward facing dog. Good. Then shift forward, lower your shins down to the ground. Come back to that neutral tabletop. So stack the shoulders, stack the hips. Reset everything, draw the belly in. Nice long spine, toes tucked or untucked, whatever makes sense for you. As you inhale, send your right leg back behind you, toes, knees, hips all pointing down towards the ground. Nice long line, push through the heel, reach through the crown of the head. On your next exhale, bring your knee towards your nose, dome your upper back. Good. Continue to travel that foot forward and across. So crisscross the leg, right foot, right leg in front of left. And then pause here. Same thing. You decide how close your legs are together, how stable you can tolerate today. And then you can use your blocks here. We're actually going to come to kneeling, right? So standing on your knees. So if you need the blocks to help you feel sturdy, you can do that. If you'd like to have them by your side, this kind of helps and you can work on the balance. If you don't need them, then simply rise up. Good. Wherever you are, squeeze your legs energetically in toward each other. See if you can make one leg out of two. Good. Right leg is in front. Take your right hand to your right shoulder, and then take your left hand to your left shoulder. And just give yourself a little hug. Squeeze everything in. Good. Lift the elbows up a bit on your inhale. And then as you exhale, take your elbows down towards your belly. Just rounding your upper back forward. Keeping the balance, legs still actively squeezing. Come back to neutral and release your hands. Come forward, plant your hands back on the ground. Come back to that crisscross leg tabletop. Take your inhale. As you exhale, draw your knee toward your nose. Good, then send your leg back to the tabletop. Beautiful. We'll do tuck your toes, lift your hips up towards the sky, coming back to that downward facing dog. Good, inhale, lift the right leg up. Exhale, step your foot in between your hands. So if you get here halfway and you get stuck, just grab your ankle and continue to step it forward. Coming into a little runner's lunge. Okay, so in your runner's lunge, we're going to be here for a little bit, not very long. But if you find that you're rounding forward to reach the floor, it's a great opportunity to use the blocks. So you can place them beside you and then really get set. So squeeze your legs in towards each other and engage the glutes on the back leg and the knees on the back, the quads on the back leg to straighten the knee and extend the hip. And then shine your chest forward and hug everything in towards the midline. And take a breath. Take your inhale. As you exhale, straighten your front legs, send your hips back, coming into an extended pyramid pose. So here in your extended pyramid, your front leg is pulling back into the back hip socket and your back hip is wrapping forward to the short edge of the mat. So you're squaring your hips forward. Good. Squeeze your legs in towards each other. If you want to play with a little extra balance, because there's always somewhere to go, you can lift the toes. And then even play with lifting the hands, finding balance here. Ta-da! And fly. Good. When you're done playing with that, simply return your hands down, lower your foot. Coming back to that runner's lunge, and then start to shift yourself forward. So we're coming into a standing splits. So shifting your weight into your front leg, and you can take multiple steps or one giant step if you'd like, but just send the back leg up towards the sky. Release the crown of your head down towards the ground. Good. And then start to bend into your front knee as you lower the back foot down, and then rise up, coming into Alanasana, high crescent. Good. So really take your time. Find the pose first. So just like when we were in our runner's lunge, you want to engage that back leg, the glute to extend the leg behind you, the quads to straighten the knee. Bending into your front leg, you decide how deep you want to bend. It's totally up to you. And then squeeze your legs energetically in toward each other. And I don't mean like knock your knees in. I mean keep them as straight in a straight line, but engage the muscles on the insides of your thighs, your adductors. Good. Then lowering your arms. Right arm underneath, coming into a bind. So you can have the backs of your palms touching, or you can go for the bind, bringing the palm to touch. Beautiful. Lift the elbows and you inhale. Exhale, bring the elbows toward the thigh. It doesn't have to touch. Good. Unwind your arms as you come back up, come back to your high crescent. Good. Open up to a Virabhadrasana warrior two. Find the pose first, front heel in line with the arch of the back foot. Square the chest to the long edge of the mat. Right? Nice active arms. Engage the triceps to straighten the arms. And that front knee, that front thigh is spinning in and up, so the front knee is tracking over the second toe. Good. Gazing over the middle finger. Take one more breath. Good. Straighten your front leg. Send both arms up overhead. Grab a hold of your right wrist with your left hand and just give yourself a gentle little side bend towards the back of the mat. Good. Come back to your warrior two. Cartwheel your hands down. Pivot on the ball of the back foot. Come back to that runner's lunge at the top of your mat. Squeeze the legs in toward each other. Nice long line. If you have your blocks, just set them off to the side. Everyone plant your hands down and step the right foot back. Come back to your downward facing dog. Pause here, reset, take a full breath. Inhale. Exhale. Good, then lower back down to your shins and come back to that tabletop position. So hips stacked over knees, shoulders stacked over elbow. Nice long line, no droopy gut. Draw the belly in. As you inhale, send your left leg back behind you, knees, toes, hips, all facing down towards the ground. creating space in the hip socket. And then as you exhale, bring your knee towards your nose, dome your upper back. Find space there. See how close you can get your knee to your face. Then continue to travel the leg in front. Left leg is now in front of the right. Take the variation that you want. You can take a wider base or squeeze them together. And then make your way to standing on your knees using the blocks or not. Good. Your legs are in contact with each other. Really actively squeeze them together. Make one leg out of two. And then take your left hand towards your right shoulder and your right hand to your left shoulder. Lift the elbow up. Exhale, draw the elbows towards the belly. It's a fun little balance play here. Rise back up, unwind the hands, hinge forward, lower the hands down towards the ground. Pause and reset, take your inhale. Exhale, bring the knee back towards the face and then send it back behind you. Good. Return your shin back down to the ground. Tuck your toes, hips move back and then up as you come back to your downward facing dog. On your next inhale, your left leg reaches up towards the sky, and exhale, step your foot in between your hands. Find that runner's lunge. Good. Squeeze the legs together, engage the back leg. Shine your chest forward. Try not to dome. Keep everything nice and long. Take your inhale here. Exhale, send the hips back, come to that extended pyramid pose. Options are the same, but square your hips first so the front leg pulls back, back hip wraps forward. Option to fly your pyramid, lifting the heel and or playing with the balance. Returning your hands back down to the ground if they're lifted. Returning the sole of the foot to the ground and then bending back into your knee. Good. Coming back to that pyramid. Shifting forward. Coming into your standing splits. Shift your weight. Take one step or many steps. Lift the back leg up towards the sky. Release the crown of the head towards the floor. Now start to bend into your front knee gently. With control, lowering the back foot down and then rising up, finding your high crescent on the second side. Squeeze the legs in, engage the back leg, lift up to the side body, ground down to the legs. Lowering your arms, right, left arm is underneath, coming into your bound situation. So just the backs of the hands or wrapping around to find the palms. Good, keep the legs engaged, don't let that go. And then the elbows lift up. Exhale, bring the elbow toward the thigh. Rise back up, unwind the arms, send them back up to your high crescent. Open up, find your warrior two. Adjust your feet if you need to, they're not glued to the mat. And find the pose, so watch the thigh spinning in and up. Good, you decide how deep you bend. Square the shoulders. Engage the arms. Good, now send the arms up as you straighten the front leg. Grab your wrist, give yourself a nice little stretch. And then come back to your warrior two. Good, cartwheel your hands down, pop the back heel up, frame your front foot, come back to that runner's lunge, reset. Good, plant your hands and step it back to the plank of your choice and then take a vinyasa. Halfway or the belly, cobra or an up dog. Make your way back to a downward facing dog. Good, coming into round two. So options here, we're gonna come into a side plank, but the options are as follows. You can take the right leg up, and bring it towards your nose and simply lower your shin down towards the ground. Take your right hand up under your face and then open up for a side plank here. If this is enough, stay here. If you'd like more, you can lift the back leg up and enjoy playing with the balance here. If you want to play even more, coming back to that downward facing dog, Right leg lifts up, bring the knee forward, but then cross it over, finding an eagle leg, so wrapping the toes behind the calf, and then opening up to find a side plank option here. So just play with whatever shape. Maybe you try all three. It's flavor tasting. Good. And then wherever you are, simply lower your hand back down to the mat. And then send your right leg back up to the sky. Come back to your three-legged dog. Exhale, step your foot in between your hands. Beautiful. Come back to that runner's lunge. Squeeze the legs in together, activate the back leg. You can use a block here if you'd like. Ground down with your left hand into the ground or to the block. Send your right arm forward, right? Nice long line. You can stay here and just work this, squeeze the legs together. We're going into a lounging lizard. Let the right arm arc up as you rotate over to the long edge of the mat, coming to the pinky edge of your back foot. So instead of simply lowering down into the hip, practice squeezing the legs together and lifting up and pushing up out of the shoulder. Good, and wherever you are, just rotate back to that runner's lunge. Straighten the front leg, come back to that extended pyramid. Opening up to an extended triangle. So your right hand can be wherever you need it to be, on a block, on your foot, on the shin, in front, on the outside. Just opening up, twisting to the other side. Good, then lower your hand back down, coming back to that extended pyramid. Start to shift forward, so we're coming into standing splits again on this side, so either multiple steps or one. Send the back leg up to the sky, release the crown of the head. Good, take a Shiva squat. Bend into your standing knee, bring the top knee to touch the back. Good, and then from there, instead of going back to standing splits, come through a warrior three. So choose the variation of warrior three you want to play with. You can use blocks, make it supported. Wonderful option. Or you can fly and choose any arm variation that you like. Hands in prayer, back behind you, arms forward. Wherever you are, find the pose. So then the toes, the knee, and the hip, square them to the ground, just like we did in our tabletop, pushing through the heel, creating space. See if you can lift up out of your hips. So if you're dumping forward, what does it take to push up and find space in that socket? Good. And then simply bend back into your front knee, lower the back foot down, come back to that high crescent. Good. Open up to a 5-pointed star. And as you exhale, toes turn in, heels turn out. Find a forward fold. Release the crown of your head. And inhale, find a halfway lift. As you exhale, walk your hands to the back of the mat. Pivot on the heel of your left foot and the ball of your right foot, and come into a runner's lunge, now facing the back. Now start to shift your weight into your front foot. We're going to come to stand and bring your back leg with you. So if you need to take multiple steps, that's fine. Otherwise, take one big one. Come to stand. Bring your knee up towards your chest and release your fingers in front of your shin, coming to a little modified extended hand to toe. Good. Releasing your shin and then crossing your right leg over your left. And we have options. So you can bring the right toes to kickstand on the outside of the left foot. You can, of course, just squeeze the legs together. You can lift the leg, and if you have the bind, you can take it. If it doesn't bind, it doesn't matter. Just squeeze your legs together as best that you can. Then take your right arm underneath the left, coming into your eagle arms here. Good. And then wherever you are, square everything back to center. So if everything is skewing to the left, squeeze everything in to be center. Take a breath. As you exhale, maybe sink a little bit deeper if you'd like. Option also to bring the elbows towards the thigh. Good. Rise back up when you're done playing. Unwind the arms, but bring the knee back up towards your chest. I'm going to turn back this way. Good. And then we're going to come through warrior three again. So start to hinge forward, sending your right leg back behind you. Come to the warrior three variation you want to play with. And then simply lowering the back foot down, rising back up to your high crescent again. Good. Open up, come back to that 5-pointed star. And then come to a warrior two, back towards the top of the mat. Yeah, then cartwheel the hands down, back heel pops up, frame your front foot, and then step the right foot back to meet the left. Take a breath as you reset in your downward facing dog. So going into the side plank variation that you want to enjoy and play with on the left side. So we can come forward, lift the leg up, and then come forward and lowering the shin, opening up that way. Or if you want to go straight for the eagle leg, just wrap it around, pivot open, find your side plank variation, or maybe even play with all three. Try not to dump into your shoulder, push. And if your neck's up for it, you can look up towards the fingers. Now, wherever you are, return your top hand back down and then make your way back to your three-legged dog. And then step your foot in between your hands and come back to your runner's lunge. Reset. Squeeze the legs together. Coming into lounging lizard, so hands either on the block or on the floor. Right hand pushing down towards the ground. The left arm reaches forward. See if you can create that nice long line. Then continue to send the arm up and over as you pivot. Rotate to the pinky edge of the back leg. And then instead of sinking, push up, squeeze the legs together. Activate your inner thighs, your adductors, and push the ground away as you reach back. See if you can find lightness and lift. Rotate back forward. Come back, framing your front foot. Then start to shift forward, coming into that standing split. Send the back leg up to the sky, release the crown of the head towards the ground. Take your Shiva squat. Top knee touches the back calf, maybe. Send the leg back up. Coming through a warrior three. Once again, playing with all of your options, but finding the pose. So point everything down, square the hips to the ground. See if you can find some length, some space in the hip. Playing, be playful. It's yoga, it's fun. Then start to bend into your front knee as you send the back knee down and come to your high crescent here. Find the pose, squeeze the legs, activate the back leg. Reaching up through the side body, grounding down to the legs. Yes. Open up. Coming to your 5-pointed star. Toes turn in, heels turn out. Find your forward fold. Release the crown of your head to the ground. And on your next inhale, find a halfway lift. Walk your hands to the back of your mat. Pivot on the heel of your right foot, ball of your back foot, and come back to that runner's lunge. Activate your legs. You're going to start to shift forward. So we're going to come to stand on your right foot. Bring the left knee with you towards your chest. So come to stand. Bring the knee with you. Interlace the fingers on the front of your thigh. Ground down through your foot. Find the balance. Good, then continue to travel the left foot across. So options are the same. You can find the kickstand. You can squeeze and lift. If you can wrap, you can wrap. And then left arm comes underneath. Right arm on top, find the bind. Good, once you've found everything, pause. Square everything to the center. Good, on your next exhale, sink a little deeper. Make one leg out of two. Good, next exhale again, bring the elbows towards the thigh. Good, rising back up, unwind the arms. Bring the knee up towards the chest, coming through your warrior three. Hinge forward as you send the back leg back. Play with your warrior three variation. Find the pose. You can keep that standing leg bent if you'd like for a little crouching warrior three, or stay lifted. Then slowly start to lower the leg, the foot back down. Come back to that high crescent. Good, open up. 5-pointed star. And then open up to a warrior two. Good, find the pose. Feel your feelings, engage all of the things that need to be engaged, and don't use what you don't need. Excuse me, so watch what your face is doing. Okay, cartwheel your hands down, frame your front foot, back heel pops up. Come back to that runner's lunge. Yeah, plant the hands, step back to the plank of your choice, and take a vinyasa. Shifting forward. Shine the chest, cobra or an up dog. Make your way back to your downward facing dog. Pause here. Full breath. Good, lift the heels and walk your feet towards the center of your mat. Once you reach the center, pause and lower the heels, then walk your hands back towards your feet. Good, start to bend into your knees. Lift the heels, coming into a little toe squat. Yep. So leave the thighs in contact with the belly, and you can stay here, or you can play with the balance. And if you want to play even more, see if you can lower the thighs so that they're parallel to the ground, staying on the ball of the foot, bringing the heel close to the bum. And once again, you can use blocks for this if balancing is hard to help you be stable. Otherwise, you can just play with the balance. Good. From here, open up the legs. See if you can bring the soles of your feet together. And the work is the same, just sitting the hips open behind you. Fun little balance here. Bring your knees back in together. If your hands aren't already down, return your hands back down to the mat. And then lift your hips up and lower your heels. Walk your hands forward. Walk your feet back to your downward facing dog. Good, bringing your right knee forward at an angle so the right knee is towards the right corner of your mat, and then lower down to your shin. So we're coming into pigeon, and you do what's right for you. So if pigeon is not something that feels good in your body, you can always take a figure 4 on your back. The closer your heel to your groin, the less sensation. The more parallel your shin is to the short edge of the mat, the more sensation. So choose your adventure. See if you can square your hips. So notice if you're collapsing on one side, that's fine. But maybe place a blanket or a block or just something underneath to kind of help you find balance to square the hips. And then fold forward if you'd like. You can stay high. There's a million ways that you can do anything, everything, all of the things. And just take a breath. If you're folded forward, just make your way back up. Good. Plant your hands, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, push yourself up, come back to your downward facing dog. And then do the other side. So now the left knee comes forward, lowering back down. Find the pigeon option that works for you. I am currently nursing a knee injury. So for this side, I am going to take the figure 4. But if you want to take the sleeping pigeon, feel free to do so. If you're going to join me in a figure 4, just come to your back, cross the ankle over your thigh, reach through and grab whatever you can grab, either the front of the shin or the back of the thigh. And just use your breath, settle in. Good, if you're in your pigeon, come up out of that, whichever way makes sense for you, and then make your way to your back. And if you're on your back, simply lower both feet back down to the mat, and we'll all meet lying on our backs with the soles of the feet on the ground, a little bit wider than the hips. Arms down by your side, palms face down, coming into Setu Bandhasana bridge pose. So pushing into the heels of your feet, and then lift the pelvis up towards the sky. And then roll up your spine, coming into your bridge pose. At the top where the weight's in the back of your head, the back of your shoulders, and don't move your neck when you're in bridge pose. Just take a breath here, giving some space in the front body. And then slowly start to roll your hips back down to the mat. Good. Let your knees knock over to the right for a little gentle twist. Take a breath. Release what you don't need. Notice if your shoulders are tight, your jaw, that space in between your eyebrows. Let your face be a mask. Come back through center, and then let your knees fall over to the left. Use this opportunity to use the breath to release tension in the body. Trust the floor to hold you. Let go. And coming back through center, and then send the legs out long and let them flop open. Let's send your arms out wide by your side. Coming into Shavasana for our final posture. Letting go of the breath. Your body knows how to breathe. And letting go of your thoughts. Don't worry about what happened or what didn't happen. And just enjoy being in your body, being in this space. I invite you to stay in Shavasana for as long as you are able and willing to do so. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today. It is always an honor and a blessing. The light in me sees, honor, and respects the light in each of you. Until we meet again, Om Shanti Shanti. Peace.